everyone, it's Moa, or as I'm also known, Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today we are gonna try a bourbon. Not any bourbon, it's this lovely Blantons Gold. The first time I tried this was actually in Paris, where the idea for Swedish Whiskey Girl was started, and we found this lovely whiskey bar called the Golden Promise, which actually accidentally happened to be around 100 meters away from where we had our Airbnb. We only found out because we thought, oh, we'll just Google the nearest whiskey bar, and it happened to be that close. So very lucky. So when we were paying the bill one night, the bartender was really nice and he gave us a little sample of something, which happened to be Blantons. And since then it's been one of my absolute favourite bourbons, so it's definitely love at first sight. So Blantons is a lovely collection of bourbons from the Trace Distillery that's been made with mashbill number 2, which has a slightly higher rye content, so somewhere between maybe 10 or 15% rye. So this Blantons Gold is suspected to have around a 5% malted barley content, about 10 to 15% rye, and the rest corn, of course. Because it is a bourbon, it has to be at least 51% corn, and of course also matured on virgin casks, which is those fresh new American oak casks that haven't touched whiskey before. And it definitely gives it that really intense flavour, which you tend to find in a lot of bourbons, and really sweet and like sugary notes as well. So let's have a little nose of this. Yeah, it's really nice. It gives you a lot on the nose. It gives you like burnt sugar. It's almost like buttered salted popcorn, because it really draws you in and wants you to try it immediately, it feels like. A bit of like homemade caramel sauce, so that kind of thick sweetness. Almost a bit like fresh leather as well, but when it's really, really fresh, and that it has that really soft note to it. Yeah, I think we should try it. So slange av skål. The first thing that you get on the palate is this really dry sensation. It tastes a lot like cloves, and what you get immediately after is like the cloves and then the caramel sauce on the palate as well, and then it gives you this really mouth-watering feeling. Definitely has a lot of flavour. Even on the finish, it's just like growing, I feel, and you get more of that leathery, earthy notes the more it kind of lingers with you. And it also has this slight bitterness, almost like caramelized, slightly burned sugar, or like black tea leaves. So if you leave them in slightly too long, you get that lingering bitterness on the finish, which I think is actually quite nice and can enhance some of the other flavours. And with the sweetness in this, the bitterness actually brings out some of that other leathery, kind of more complex notes behind it. I do think this is a lovely bourbon, and like I said before, it is one of my favourites, along with a Woodford Reserve that I really like. I am just starting in the wonderful world of bourbon. Tended to have tried more international whiskies and Scotch before, so if you have any recommendations for me, please let me know. This particular bottle, the Blantons Gold, is unfortunately not available in the States, but lucky enough for us here in Europe, you can get a hold of it here. And they are all single barrels, so the different barrels that you get hold of are of course slightly different. This one sits at 51.5 ABV, so it has really lovely strength, and I think it really sits nicely there as well. It also has this, I don't really know how to explain it, but on the nose you also get this rye note. And I always struggle to describe it. If you've never smelt a rye whiskey, it's difficult to understand what it means, but it has this kind of, it might be that bitter sweetness. It's very special, and you tend to find it in bourbons, of course, that have rye in them, or in rye whiskies. But it's good to kind of get to know someone so you recognise it for the next time. I'm also very curious to find out what I like in bourbons, because some I tend to like not as much, and some I do tend to like this one. And I wonder if it's the rye content or the corn content, or perhaps the barley, or if it has to do with the oak, the maturation. I believe this one is suspected to be around 6 to 8 years old, but of course it's a non-aged statement. But I do think it's lovely. It has that really thick, dense sweetness. It has that little bitterness and that kind of popcorn vibe as well. It's like slightly salty. It's just so much flavour. But please let me know what you think of Blantons. Is there another Blantons you think I should try, or perhaps another bourbon? I'd love to hear from you. Slán va, skål!